What's up guys, Bret here, and these are the highest paying trade jobs that can earn you up to £100,000 a year without a university degree. And be sure to check out the whole video because some of these will surprise you. I actually worked as a project manager for a construction company in London, and I worked alongside all of these trades on a daily basis. I was responsible for their payment applications coming in, valuing them, and getting their invoices out as well. So trust me, I know that these guys earn decent money, and often they earn more than the managers. What's more, the main contractors rely on these trades so much. So often these trades are able to get the main contractors out of so many sticky situations, and being able to do a favor for your client is always a good thing, especially when it comes to pricing the next job. Just quickly, and the reason that you might want to consider getting a trade job as opposed to a graduate job is because most graduates graduate with £45,000 worth of debt, and they take over 10 years to pay that off. Depending on where you live, it may differ slightly, but in the UK, you pay 9% towards your student loan for everything that you earn over a specific threshold. And in the UK, that threshold is £19,000. So for every pound that you earn over £19,000, you're going to be paying 9% of that towards your student loan. And this does vary depending on the country that you live in. As I said, for example, in the US, the average graduate pays between $200 and $300 every month towards paying off their student loan. Now, that might not sound like a lot because you might be thinking it's only 9% on what I earn over £19,000, but trust me, 9% of anything is a lot, especially when comparing it to someone who works as a trade, because these guys have no such burden. When you go to university, you're accepting that you're gonna have this loan no matter what, and you're gonna have to pay it off. And the scary thing is, even though you're definitely going to be taking on this loan, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a job at the end of your course. Okay, so the prospect of going to university and getting yourself into all of this debt might not be for everyone. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 paying trade jobs that offer a great alternative. Now, to become qualified in any professional trade does require some classroom time. However, it's definitely going to be way less time than is required for a university degree, and it's going to be a lot cheaper as well. Also, not all trades require you to be fully qualified to go onto a site, but there are some minimum tickets that you need to get, things like health and safety, before you're allowed to enter any site. Now, because trades are so hands-on, a lot of the learning is actually done on the job. So whilst there is an element of classroom work, a lot of it is hands-on and it's actual experience on the job. This is often known as doing an apprenticeship, and you actually get paid for this as well. Now, it's well documented that there's a skilled trade shortage in the UK, and the CEO of the Federation of Master Builders explained that of the 15 key trades that they monitored, 40% of those trades are seeing skills shortages. On top of this, the demand is also increasing, which is pushing wages up. And we've seen this during the coronavirus lockdowns in the UK as well. And during the lockdowns, all of these trades have been allowed to continue working because they're considered key workers, and that just goes to show that these guys are going to always have a job. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the top 10 paying trade jobs. However, if you go self-employed, if you start your own business, there's no cap on how much you can earn. So coming in at number 10 then are bricklayers, earning £27,955. And you might have seen that there's been quite a few articles published speaking about how bricklayers earn more than architects, but I don't believe this to be true. Whilst in some cases there may be some bricklayers who earn more than certain architects, sure, in the majority of cases though, that's not true. If you're new to bricklaying and you have no experience, you can expect to start on around £17,000, and that can go anywhere up to £42,000 for the more experienced bricklayers. Now, bricklaying is just one type of masonry work, and there are actually other masonry specialties as well, such as rendering, stone cleaning, and stone repair, things like that. So it's not only bricklaying here, there are many different options within masonry that you can look to explore. Number 9, plasterers, earning £28,488. Some plasterers just plaster, others fit the plasterboard and skim and plaster over it as well, and they're known as dry liners. It depends on the job and it depends on the requirements. There are also different types of plastering. You've got solid plastering and you've got fibrous plastering. So solid plastering is the more commonly known type, which basically happens to every wall. It gets plastered and then it gets decorated. Whereas fibrous plastering is all of the decorative molds that you see. And these are usually molded off-site and then they're brought to site to be fixed. This is more specialist than normal plastering, which is why experienced fibrous plasterers can earn around £35,000. And number 8 then are carpenters or joiners, earning £29,772. Now, there is a difference between a carpenter and a joiner, and they would tell you that themselves. A joiner usually works in the workshop producing something that's then fitted on site, whereas a carpenter basically works on site, and they'd be doing stuff like fitting a cut roof, versus a joiner who might make a bespoke wardrobe in the workshop. Now, entry-level carpenters and joiners can expect to earn around £18,000, And if you're more experienced, you can expect to earn more towards £40,000. And obviously that's based on working for someone. If you decide to go self-employed, as I said at the beginning of the video, there's no cap on how much you can earn. Number 7 then, plumbing, £32,356, no degree required. Now there is quite a range of salaries for plumbers, and it's going to depend on how experienced you are, how qualified you are, and where you live as well. For example, Pimlico plumbers in London pay their heating engineers over £103,000, but I'm sure it's not as pretty as it sounds. Also, there are 2 paths that you can go down here, one being domestic and one being commercial, working on large construction sites. You can earn decent money doing either, but just bear in mind that domestic plumbers are going to have to move around a lot more than plumbers working on a commercial site. If you just think about it for a minute and think about the last time that you had to have a plumber over and how much they charged you. I remember in London a few years back, I had to pay, I think it was £350 for a toilet that was leaking, but it was an emergency and I just had to pay it because it was leaking into the flat below. And for that reason, they've basically got you where they want you, because sometimes you just have no choice, which is why they can charge such high fees. But obviously it's a balance between ripping off your customer and getting repeat business. Next up then, electricians, earning £33,495. And again, no university degree required. Electricians make up the other part of M&E, where M is mechanical and E is electrical. And again, electricians obviously have domestic projects as well as commercial projects, just like plumbers. And these guys are responsible for all of the electrical and power supplies, anything from the lighting to the fire doors. Now, according to the Office of National Statistics, the ONS, the highest paid electrician salary is in London, and it's £37,529, whereas newly qualified electricians can expect to earn anywhere between £19,000 and £22,000. Okay, next up are roofers, earning £33,994. This one consists of a lot of different roles. You've got your standard pitched roof with felt and batten and either clay tiles or slate. You've got specialist lead workers and copper workers, hot melt membrane installers. You've also got roof lights, lightning cables, and so much more. Now, if you actually build up enough experience and go self-employed roofers can expect to earn anywhere up to £70,000, which makes them one of the highest earning trades. This is a very niche trade though that often goes under the radar when thinking about jobs on a construction site. However, if a construction job does need a new roof, it's often one of the biggest expenses on that project. Roofs require constant attention and maintenance. For example, if your roof is leaking, you can't just leave it like you might if you've got a faulty light fitting. You've got to get that sorted. And for that reason, this trade will always be booming. It's just the nature of it. Coming in at number 4, and this one might surprise you, is scaffolders, earning £37,500. I did tell you that there was going to be a few surprises in here, and this is one of them. Now, scaffolders on average do earn £37,500. However, they're usually paid on an hourly or daily basis, which means that they can work a lot more or a lot less depending on their boss and depending on their relationship, which just means that they can actually earn a lot more, or they might earn a lot less if they're lazy. Now, I've worked with a lot of scaffolding companies in the past, and I honestly think that it's a great trade to get into, especially with the end goal of becoming your own boss and starting up a scaffolding company. Because scaffolding, out of all the trades, all the professions in construction, is the most passive one. Because once you've set up your scaffold on site, all you do is charge a monthly or weekly or monthly rental for that equipment that's just left on site. And if something does need to be altered or changed, you get paid usually on a day rate to go to site and sort that out. Even if you're just there for an hour or two, you'll probably get paid for the whole day to go and sort that out. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of passive income, which makes this one of my favorites. Scaffolding material as well is reusable, so unless it gets damaged on site, you're going to be able to ship that to the next site if you're busy anyway, so you don't need to have a massive yard, a massive place to store all of the materials. From a health and safety point of view as well, no one else is going to be allowed to touch your scaffolding, so once you've installed it, as I said, it's just going to sit there. If anything does need to be changed, they've got no choice but to call you back. Now, coming in at number 3 is a lift or elevator engineer, and this one might surprise you as well, but lift engineers actually earn decent money. We're talking about an average salary of £41,377, but sometimes up to and over £50,000. Now, that's around £19 an hour, and trust me, I've seen firsthand that these guys get the red carpet rolled out when they turn up as well, because they're so specialist and because there's so few of them, and usually they're on a site which has a long program and they're only there for a short period of time. So everyone rolls out the red carpet and makes sure that everything's perfect for these guys to show up, which is brilliant if you're one of them. The most common way to get into this trade is through an apprenticeship. You can also go down the college route as well, which would see you getting a diploma in maintenance engineering technology or building services, and that would obviously help you become more qualified and earn more money as a lift engineer. And as I said, one of the best things about this job is that everything will be prepared for you before you arrive. So if it's a concrete lift, that concrete lift core is going to be built, it's going to be finished before you arrive. And a lot of the decorative, for example, the external doors of the lift, probably that they're going to be done by someone else. So you install the actual lift shaft itself and the carts, and everything else is settled by other people. Okay, coming in at number 2 is a crane operator. And this one has to be the most surprising one on the list because crane operators on average earn £42,000. There is a range though, starting at around £23,000 and going up to more like £67,000 at the high end. Now the main task of a crane operator is to lift and move around heavy construction materials throughout a site. And also you might want to think twice about this one if you suffer from motion sickness, especially if you're thinking of becoming a tower crane operator, because those things are high. They're like 20 meters up and they sway like mad. And unlike some of the jobs on this list, this one does not require you to work late because most crane operations, most heavy lifting is done within daylight hours, it's done within the day, but it's not without its stresses because you're lifting some extremely expensive equipment a lot of the time. So yeah, not without its stresses, but you'll be working decent hours. True story as well, one of the construction jobs that I was once working on, we had this tower crane, it was a 20-meter tower crane, I think it might have been 30-meter, and the guy driving it actually fell asleep. Luckily there was no accidents, but it's safe to say that guy lost his job. Okay then, coming in at number 1 is construction management, earning £50,000. And I know that this isn't really considered a trade, but the reason that I've included it within this list is because most of the time, or at least some of the time, you do not need a college degree, you don't need a university degree to do this job. Now, this is the role that I used to work, and a lot of the other managers that I worked with didn't have a university degree. It's just not required. A lot of them come from a trade background, and that's actually preferred within the industry sometimes because having had that background allows you to plan better. It also allows you to get along with others better on site. However, what I will say from experience is that most trades report a higher than average job satisfaction. And that's not something that I can say for the managers, for the construction managers and the project managers. And the reason for that is that most of the time, the responsibility for the entire project is placed on the shoulders of the construction manager. And there's always quite a lot riding on these jobs as well. All right then, trades are a great way to invest in yourself as an alternative to the 9-to-5 rat race of an office job. So if you're hands-on and you like physical work and you like working out without having to get a gym membership, then a trade might be for you. Now, construction is one of the UK's least digitalized industries, which means that a lot of young people aren't interested in getting into the construction industry. Don't get me wrong, there is some incredibly sophisticated technology that is used to plan, design, and also engineer some massive projects, but the on-site work, and especially the trades, don't use that much technology. And society has a role to play here as well, because that's one of the reasons why young people don't want to go into construction, because it's not considered cool. All of the big tech companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, these are the places where it's considered cool to have a job. Construction, not so much anymore. However, trust me, this industry has a lot to offer, and there is a lot of money being spent in the construction industry all over the world. So it's not a bad place to start. Okay then guys, those are my top paying jobs in the construction industry, all of which are in high demand, and they always will be. So if you're looking for an alternative to going to uni and getting yourself in tens of thousands of pounds of debt, consider one of these trade jobs. Something a little bit different today, I know, but I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you're not already, guys, please subscribe, give this video a like, drop a comment down below if you've got any questions. I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.